What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome to Fresh Comic Stories. Guys, this is the channel that we basically sit down and cover different kinds of comic book stories, from Marvel to DC to IDW. But guys, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and we're going to pick up with the Messiah Complex once again. Now, last week we covered the first 5 chapters of this storyline. But this week, we're going to cover the next 5 chapters of this storyline. Because honestly, guys, it's 14 books long, and so we had no choice to break it down. Now, guys, in this video right here, a lot of things are going to happen to push the story forward. But honestly, guys, all of this is all about one baby being born after the House of M event. So, guys, please hit that like button down below. And also subscribe for more comic book videos in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below. But guys, let's dive into Messiah Complex, chapters 6 through 10. Now, today's video picks up where our last video left off at, with Wolverine and his team trying to get back to the X Mansion. Because remember that his team went to the home base of the Marauders and Mr. Sinister to see if they have the newborn mutant. But Wolverine found out that Cable is the one who has the baby. But while they were there, his team got beaten down badly. And so right now they have a lot of injuries on the Blackbird and trying to get back home. The problem is they can't reach Cyclops and tell him what they have learned from the Marauders and Mr. Sinister, that Cable is the one who has the baby. And the reason why they can get a hold of Cyclops is because the X-Mansion got attacked by a couple of Sentinels. Now remember, these Sentinels were being piloted by human beings, but something happened to them and now the Sentinels are trying to kill the X-Men who are at the X-Mansion. Which, something else to remember is that the reason why the government had these Sentinels here is because the mutant race is close to being gone. And so they were put there to protect the last few people of the mutant race. This takes place right after the House of M event. Now, after a few pages of the X-Men fighting against the Sentinels, they were able to defeat these two, but now they have a bunch of other people who are now injured as well, including a lot of their healers. Now we pick up with Mr. Sinister, who is right now talking to Mystique, which they both know that Cable is the one who has the child. But this whole time, they assumed that Cable was working with the X-Men, but now they know that Cable is on his own, which means that Mr. Sinister can send out an army of people to go after him and he would not stand a chance one bit. And so this is really huge for Cable now. Now we do jump back over to Cyclops, which is us picking up with him the next day, where Cyclops is seeing how bad things are right now. But Wolverine joins him and they talk about what had happened, which Cyclops tells Wolverine that the pilots who were controlling the Sentinels were affected by nanobites that Cassandra Nova made a while back, that basically turned them into some hybrid human Sentinels. The question is though, who sent out those nanobites in the first place and what is their plan? But then you have Cyclops say that Wolverine needs to go after Cable and get the child back, which he tells Wolverine to reform the X-Force team and go after Cable, which the X-Force team is the best trackers of the X-Men, but also their best fighters as well. And so after the X-Force team is sent out to go find Cable, we pick up a few hours after that, where you have Charles Xavier again trying to talk to Cyclops, which is something we saw back in our first video, where Charles Xavier is trying to work with Cyclops on how to run the X-Men. But you have Charles saying that basically Cyclops just sent out a bunch of killers after his own son, just to get a baby back. But again, this is Cyclops saying to Charles that he cannot be trusted and that what he is doing is for the betterment of the mutant race and that baby as well. Now, we do jump 80 years into the future, where we pick up with one of the clones of Jamie Madrox and Layla Miller. Now remember, they were sent into the future because Forge has been watching the time stream and found out that after the baby was born, two new possible futures were made. And so these two came to this future to see what had happened, which they come to find out that in this future, all mutants were put in camps. The big question is though, what led to this future in the first place? And so for them to figure out what happened in this future, you have Layla Miller and the clone of Jamie Madrox pull a ruse to capture one of the security guards of the camp to ask him what had happened, which he tells them that they should know because the camps were made because of one mutant. Something really big happened because of one of the mutants, which now the question is the future horrible for the mutants because of the baby who was just born in the present day? But before they are able to figure out more about what had happened, more guards come and capture them both. Now we pick up with Wolverine and his X-Force team back in Alaska because this is where everything started from. But you have Wolverine's team back here to see if they are able to get a clue so they can find Cable, because right now that is their new mission. But something to point out this moment is the character Warpath, which he is the character who has super strength, agility, and amazing reflexes, and also enhanced senses as well. But he was the brother of Thunderbird, who was that character who joined the X-Men after the original X-Men left. He only lasted for like 3 books, which we covered his death. But the reason why I'm focusing so much on Warpath is because he is so close to Cable. He hates the idea of hunting down an old friend. But this moment closes with them finding a way to track down Cable. Now we do jump back over to Cable and the baby, which we come to find out they are still safe from any harm until the Reavers appear, which if you guys remember from our last video, these guys are now working with the purifiers to get the baby from Cable. And so right now it is him fighting against these guys and trying to protect the baby, which leads to a big problem. That is the fact that he is on his own against an army of people. And so he has to think of a way to protect himself from these guys. And so with Cable being surrounded by the Reavers, this does look like this could be his end right here. But at the very last second, you have Wolverine and the X-Force appear, which of course now they start fighting against the Reavers. But at the same time, you have the X-Force remember that their mission is to make sure to get the baby back from Cable as well. And so with Wolverine and his X-Force now being here, it does give Cable the chance to run away, hoping that these two different sides will keep each other busy long enough for him to escape with the baby. Like that is his master plan, to kind of get out of here because these two sides will be busy with each other. Now Warpath sees Cable trying to leave, but again, he sees Cable as a close friend. And so he tries to go after Cable. But since Warpath is now watching his back, when one of the Reavers are about to shoot to kill Warpath, but at the very last second, you have Colleen jump in front of the bullets, which of course he is now killed off. And so now you have a dead X-Men. And I really hope I pronounced his name correctly. Colleen, kind of hard name to pronounce. Now you have Wolverine trying to chase down Cable and get the baby back from Cable. Now the thing is that Cable is able to kind of pull a small ruse to throw Wolverine off so that Cable can do the one thing he needs to do so he can get away from everyone, which is basically stealing the Blackbird that Wolverine brought here to get away. Now we pick up with Cyclops and his X-Men team meeting up with X-Force after their battle between them and the Reavers, which you have the X-Men now freaking out on how they are going to find Cable because the last time they found him was thanks to Colleen, who was just killed off by the Reavers. And so with him dead, they don't really have a way to find Cable again. But you have Cyclops using other methods to find Cable. But while he is waiting for results on where is Cable, you have Cyclops start to think about how he had to let Cable go when he was a baby to save his life. But before he is able to go down memory lane, that is when you have Cyclops get word that Cable is heading to Dallas, Texas, where Forge is at. Which the reason why is because Forge has the time machine. But we shift back over into the future with the clone of Jamie Madrox and also Layla Miller, which right now you have them being processed and about to be thrown inside this mutant camp. Which honestly, we see them get tortured and beat down on their way to the main part of this camp. But when they get to the main part of this camp, they get to run into some people of the camp and then start talking to them about different things about this camp. But when Layla Miller and Jamie Madrox look at the face of one of the prisoners of the camp, they see a M symbol on the guy's face, which this symbol is only been seen on one person, which is Bishop, because Bishop is from the future, which now we know that this right now is Bishop's future. But jumping back to the present day, we pick up with Cable arriving to the base of Forge to get to use his time machine. The problem is though is that Forge has been shot, it seems, and the big question is now who did this and why would they shoot Forge? That is when you have someone from behind shoot Cable to knock him out. This is where we come to find out that Bishop was the one who shot Forge and then shot Cable as well. And so after Bishop shoots Cable, it is now him about to shoot the baby as well, which is really messed up. But then you have the Marauders appear and they start to fight against Bishop, which now Bishop is a one man trying to fight against an army of people with an array of different powers. And so for him, he does not have enough time to adapt to different attacks that are coming at him all at once. But after a few pages of watching him trying to defeat these guys, he does get knocked out by them, which then leads to Gambit just picking up the baby and they leave with the child and leaving Bishop behind badly injured. And so after Gambit leaves, when Bishop wakes up, Cable is already gone, and so are the Marauders as well. And so his next game plan is for him to basically trying to get out of the base of Forge before the X-Men show up so he can go after the Marauders and get the baby back. The problem with that is when he is trying to track the Marauders, the X-Men are already there. And so when the X-Men walk in, Bishop has to lie to the X-Men about how he had a lead to follow, which led him here with Cable and the baby. But he didn't tell Cyclops and the rest of the X-Men that he got jumped by the Marauders and they took the baby. And so you have Cyclops tell Bishop to join the X-Force team and go track down Cable. Cyclops and the other X-Men are going to focus on finding Gambit. Now, two big things happen to close this video, where we pick up with Layla Miller and the clone of Jamie Madrox in the future once again, where they're just figuring out that they are in the future of Bishop. But when they still don't have any idea what led to this future, when they go around asking people what led to this future, no one is saying a word. But you have them find the one person who can tell them what happened, which that person is the younger version of Bishop before he grew up and left the future to the present day with the X-Men. But jumping back over to the present day, we pick up with Cable right now taking the Blackbird that he stole from Wolverine earlier. But he now knows that he cannot do this alone, that he needs to call in someone he can trust and will believe what he is doing is the right thing to do. And so the one person he calls in is, of course, Charles Xavier, which now they are going to work together behind the back of Cyclops to get the baby back from the Marauders. And guys, this is where we are going to end today's video. So guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below. But guys, you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, we are almost done with the Messiah Complex storyline. We literally have one more video to go, and then we are done, and then we are going to jump into X-Force. But guys, please hit that like and subscribe, and guys, I will see you on the next comic book video. Later, guys.